All right, and we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mack to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you get started on your fitness journey. What's up, everybody? Hope y'all having a great week. We got another good podcast episode for y'all today. Today's topic is going to be part 3 of the mini series that we've been doing about how I created the mind and the body that I always dreamed of. The 3 major steps that I took to do that. And that's what we're breaking down in the mini series. And today's episode is part 3 of that series. So if you haven't yet, check out the first 2 episodes where we talked about changing my environment and also no longer playing the victim card. So that's episodes 1 and 2. And now episode 3 is going to be about using failures as a learning opportunity. So the title of the podcast is actually Failure Equals Learning Opportunity. So yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. And then next week's episode is going to be the last little episode about this mini series. Part 4 will be about putting myself in the room. So we won't get into we'll get more into that next week. But today we're going to talk about failure and how to use that to bounce back and use it and grow from it. But first, before we hop into the podcast of today, I wanted to shout this person out that was just super nice to me, and I really appreciate what they said. Let me see if I can pull up the message real quick. So a guy reached out to me a few days ago, and he was just saying thank you for doing the podcast. He enjoyed it and he appreciated it. So I got talking to him. I was like, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. If you like the podcast, leave a review. So he did. He left a super nice review. So shout out to him. And then after that, he proceeded to tell me that he lost 56 pounds and he is now down to 13% body fat just from listening to my podcast. And that felt good to me. Like I felt great knowing that I helped somebody. I'm not the one that I can't take full ownership for it because I'm not the one that actually did the work. I'm not the one that worked out for him. I'm not the one that ate the healthy foods for him. He's the one that put in the work. He did it. So shout out to him because he's making a change, making a difference. I was just that guide. I provided him the information and he took the action. So shout out to you, Ryan. If you're listening to this, shout out to you for the nice words. I really appreciate it. That's an awesome transformation that you've made so far. Hope you keep enjoying the podcast and tuning in. So yeah, shout out to you. If you ever have any good words, any good encouraging words, please let me know. Because it means a lot. It goes a long ways. Making all this content, it's not easy. It's hard. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of effort that's put into it, whether you believe or not. So if you like a lot of creators, just send them a nice few words. Let them know that you enjoy what they do and you appreciate it, because not all these content creators are getting paid like y'all think they are. Like I haven't made a single dime off of any of my social media, so or off the podcast. So I just do it for the love of it. I do it for the passion because I want to share my passion with y'all. I want to be able to help y'all, and that's the whole idea. So yeah, if you ever want to leave a review, I'd appreciate it. Or if you ever have any good encouraging words, send me a DM. I would appreciate it. So yeah, that goes a long way. It means a lot more than y'all realize. It means a lot knowing that somebody out there is getting value out of the things that I'm doing or out of the things that one of your other favorite content creators are doing. So yeah, just shoot them a nice little message saying thank you for doing what you do and we appreciate it. And to trust me, that'll make their day. Because when this guy told me this, it literally made my day. Like I had a grin on my face for the rest of the day because that's the first probably the first comment I've gotten saying that I've actually got them results. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on the podcast saying people like what I do and they enjoy it and stuff. But I've never had somebody say, yeah, I actually lost 56 pounds because of your podcast like that. That one hit on another level. When he told me that, I was like, dang, that's some real stuff right there. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we're coming up on episode 100. So I'm looking forward to it. We've been doing the podcast for about 2 years now. So we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it for as long as we can. Hopefully you listening to this are the next person that loses 56 pounds. And when you do, I want you to let me know. Let me know when you hit that goal that you've been trying to get to. So yeah, with that being said, let's hop into the podcast topic for today. We're talking about how we can use our failures as learning opportunities. This is something that I did to kind of change my mindset, change how I view things, and ultimately change the outcome of what I was doing. So first, you got to understand failure. So like, what is failure? I mean, it's pretty obvious what failure is, but failure is often seen as the opposite of success. So, a clear sign that something went wrong. But what if we shifted that perspective? Instead of viewing that failure as the end point, as the stopping point, as there's no need to keep going, you can change it and you can see it as a crucial part of your journey towards success. So take a moment, reflect on a recent failure that you experienced. How did that experience make you feel? Did it make you feel disappointed? Did it make you feel frustrated? Maybe even embarrassed a little bit? I mean, those feelings are natural. That's just part of how you're going to feel after you fail. But they don't have to define your experience. Like, that don't have to be it. So, yeah, a failure is, for me now, it's just a bump in the road. That's all it is. Just a little pothole that may detour you a little bit, but guess what? You're gonna get right back on the road and you're gonna keep on going. It's just a little bump in the road that's gonna get you off track for a second, but as long as you stick to it and keep pushing through, then you're gonna keep going. You're gonna keep getting it where you're trying to get to. So next, you gotta understand the power of mindset. So the way we perceive failure largely depends on our mindset. So this is where it all kind of shifted for me. So a fixed mindset sees abilities and intelligence as static traits. And this leads to a fear of failure because it suggests a lack of inherent ability. And conversely, a growth mindset views abilities as improvable through effort and learning, making failure a stepping stone to growth. So, for example, Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." So, this is a prime example of a growth mindset in action. So, there is no quit. If you never quit, then technically you can never fail. Because if you never stop, if you never gave up, if you never stopped working towards the goal, then technically you never failed. So like I said, it's just a setback. It's just a little bump in the road that's gonna stop you for a second, but you're gonna keep going. You're gonna get around it. And then the next segment is reframing the failure. So, how do we reframe failure? So, some strategies are you can shift your language. So, instead of saying I failed, try saying I learned. So, you see the difference there. Instead of saying I failed, that means that's it. Like you're done, you quit, you're not doing it anymore. Well, instead, change it to I learned. So, you learned a way that don't work. You learn what not to do. So now you can learn what to do. You can try it again. So language shapes our perception. So by changing the way we talk about failure, we can change the way we feel about it. So I know it's like kind of quirky to think the way you're to like change the way you're thinking of it, but it actually works. It plays a bigger role than you think. Um, so yeah, you just got to shift that language. Quit saying I failed or I quit or I'm not good enough, and change that language to I learned. I'm not giving up. Like I didn't give up. Things like that. You got to change that mindset perspective. Number two, you can analyze and reflect. So take time to analyze what went wrong. What were the factors that led to the failure? And reflect on what you could have done differently. This reflection turns failure into a powerful learning experience. So if you're not learning from your mistakes, then you're probably never going to fix them. You're not going to know how to fix them. So you need to analyze these results, see what worked, what didn't work, and that way you can change your course of action a little bit to maybe see if this way works better or try it a different way, do something a little different. And then after a lot of trial and error, you will eventually figure it out. So then you want to set realistic expectations. So understand that failure is a natural part of any process. Set realistic expectations for yourself and recognize that setbacks are common, especially when you're trying something new. So obviously, if you haven't mastered something yet, while you're learning it, you're probably going to fail at it a little bit. You're probably not going to be great at it. You're not going to do it 100%. And that's just it's part of the learning process. That's going to happen with pretty much everything you do. I mean, unless you're just a natural or something, which is not very common. So you got to set realistic expectations so you can recognize when you're having these setbacks, because they're common. They're going to happen, and it's going to happen eventually. Like, you're going to hit a plateau, you're going to have a setback, something to that effect, and you just got to um, just understand that that's part of the process. It's part of the journey. So when that sets in, when you realize, hey, I'm failing, I'm not doing good, just know that this is time for you to learn. It's time for you to buckle up and put in the work. And then you want to celebrate the effort, not just the results. So acknowledge and celebrate the effort that you put in, regardless of the outcome. This reinforces the idea that the process is as important as the end result. So, what does this mean? Don't just celebrate the end result, celebrate what got you to that result. Like, what did you do to get there? Like, if you lost 50 pounds, celebrate the process of going to the gym 4 days a week, celebrate the process of not eating the junk food, eating healthier foods, changing your diet up, meal prepping on the weekends to prepare yourself. Maybe not going to the bar one night of the week or something. I don't know. That process, the things that you've had to change in your lifestyle. Celebrate that effort, not just the result. I mean, yeah, you want to celebrate the result. That's good too. But you want to celebrate the things that got you there. So, for example, if you're a sports team and you won the championship, well, celebrate all those practices, all that hard work that you put in, all the sweat, blood, sweat, and tears you put in. So that's what you got to do to reframe your failures. So, some practical tips for embracing failure. So, number one, you can embrace a growth mindset. So, start viewing challenges and failures as opportunities to grow. Remind yourself that skills and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. Period. That comes to anything you do in life. Like I said, if you're not a natural, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to dedicate yourself to it. You have to put in the hard work. If you want to lose 50 pounds, guess what? You can't keep doing what you've been doing. You got to get dedicated. You got to start going to the gym. Got to start making better food choices. It's going to take hard work. You're going to hit plateaus. You're going to get stuck. There's going to be days you don't want to go to the gym. And you just got to embrace it. Embrace that mindset. Or next, you could keep a failure journal. So document your failures and what you've learned from them. This can help you see the patterns and understand how you've grown over time. So this way, the best way in fitness to do this is to keep a journal, like keep a fitness log. I suggest using the app. There's so many apps out there nowadays, but keep a log, track your workouts, track your sets, reps, weights, and then also to do the same thing when it comes to your nutrition. So track your diet. What are you eating in a day? Your calories, proteins, carbs, fats. Track it. So this way, if you're not losing weight, say normally you're dropping 2 or 3 pounds a week, and then one week you didn't drop any weight. So that way you can go back and look at that journal and see, okay, this is what I did different this week, and this is probably why I didn't lose the weight. So then the following week you can change that back to the way you had it, or you may have to tweak it a little bit so that you can lose weight the following week. Number three, you want to seek feedback. So ask for constructive feedback from others. This is external perspective. This external perspective can provide value insights that might have missed. So sometimes you can't see things because you're blind to it because it's about you. But other people have a better idea because they're not biased. Like they see you for who you are. They're not biased. So it's good to get that feedback sometimes. But constructive feedback, sometimes it can hurt, but you need it. Like, constructive feedback is good. So yes, a lot of times it's not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear constructive feedback because it's not positive most of the time. But it's good for you. You can use that. You can learn from it because a lot of times you won't see it because you're doing it yourself, so you don't recognize it. But other people can see that and they can tell you. They can be transparent with it, and this can be really, really beneficial to help you when you're trying to hit a certain goal. And then number four, surround yourself with a supportive community. So engage with people who encourage a growth mindset. Their support can help you see failures as part of the learning process. So y'all know the saying, you're an average of the five people that you hang around with most. So if you want to get fit, hang out with some fit people. Hang out with some people that's going to the gym, working out, watching what they eat, things like that. So, I mean, it's pretty common. Whatever your friends do, whatever your family does that you're hanging out with, whoever you're spending the majority of your time with, whatever they do, you're more than likely going to end up doing the same exact thing. And that's just think about it right now. Think about your friends. Who's the people you hang out with? Like, what y'all doing on the weekends? What do y'all do? Where do y'all go? Y'all probably do the same things. And if you don't do the same things, you're probably not going to be friends with them for very long. You're probably not going to hang out with them much. That's just how friends work. Like friends do the same thing. Um, so yeah, like if your buddies are drinking beer and going to the bar, that's probably what you're gonna do too. You're gonna tag along with them, and you're gonna go. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that's what's gonna happen. Or if your buddy is encouraging you to go to the gym with him, he's asking you to come work out with him. Guess what? You probably gonna go work out with them eventually. So it just kind of happens that way. Like, think about rich people. Rich people only hang out with other rich people. They don't be hanging out with poor people. That's just kind of how it is. I mean, because you are who you surround yourself with. So that's pretty common one there. Surround yourself with a supportive community. So yeah, those are the four different little segments of how you can embrace failure and use failure as a learning opportunity. Remember that failure is not the end of the road, but a detour that can lead to greater success. By reframing how we view and respond to failure, we unlock the potential for continuous learning and growth. Embrace your failures, learn from them, and keep moving forward. It's that simple. Failure is not the end, it's not the end road. Failure is just the beginning. That's just the first little hiccup, first bump in the road. And that's where you grow. That's where you learn. That's where you get better. Because guess what? In order for you to get past that failure, you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to grow. You're going to have to get better, improve. That's the only way you can get around that failure. So think of something that's blocking the road. In order for you to get around it, you're going to have to figure out a way to get around it. You have to get creative and go around it somehow. Well, that's called learning. That's called growth, improvement. So that's how you use failure as a learning opportunity in anything you do. So thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Fitness Beginner Podcast this week, part 3 of how I created the mind and body that I've always dreamed of. Next week, tune in. We have part 4 where we're going to talk about putting yourself in the room, and we'll get into a little more of what that means next week. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. Peace, love, protein. We out.